Okay, so welcome to the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about addictions and habits because that is often what a client has, that a bad habit or an addiction to a behavior that's no longer working for them. And so the sooner we can understand how habits are created and how addictions are created and some of the underpinning reasons for this, the sooner we can then help unlock those problems and those bad habits and those dysfunctional addictions to create more functional addictions and more functional habits. So let's have a look at some habit science at a high level. So there is a habit loop that people go through, and it starts off with the trigger. And the trigger is something that triggers us into a desire. So we are triggered in certain ways. Now, as an example, brushing teeth. Most people are triggered to brush teeth at the start of the day and at the end of the day. So it might be that you're getting ready for bed, that triggers you to brush your teeth. If you come home, you might have certain things that trigger you to just jump in onto the couch as soon as you get home. Or one of the first things you do is you go into the kitchen. There'll be certain triggers that we have. And our triggers can be positive and they can be negative. Anything that triggers us into a negative behavior or a negative habit or a negative addiction is probably a negative trigger. Also, in neuro-linguistic programming terms, they refer to that as an anchor, and we can be anchored to certain things. So we have triggers. Now, triggers can either be hidden or visible, and what I mean by that is if something keeps triggering you or triggering your client and it's a dysfunctional behavior, a dysfunctional habit, then we want to hide that trigger as much as possible. We want to get rid of that trigger. We want to take it out of people's awareness. Now, triggers can be a certain item, a certain thing. A trigger can be, often, I've got my phone right here. Now, if you put your phone on the desk, just by knowing it's there can be a trigger for you to check your phone. Whereas if you want to, if you can't control that urge, you remove the trigger completely. So just leave the phone in another room. And so therefore it's not in your awareness, as an example. So we want to hide the triggers that trigger us into negative behaviors, and we want to make it more visible that are going to trigger us into positive behaviors. And that could be that I know for myself at one point, probably about 3 years ago, I wanted to start taking a new supplement, and I wasn't really all that consistent with it. And so what I did is I brought the bottles out. Now, it didn't really go with our decor, and having bottles of this supplement on the desk didn't really look that great, but I knew that what was more important to me, the aesthetics of the room or the need to take this supplement on a regular basis. And so I made it more visible, so it was right there. And therefore, I was more triggered into doing it. Now, let's move to the next stage in the cycle, which is desire. And so we have a desire to do a certain behavior. We can have either a strong desire or a weak desire. And so when it comes to something that we're doing a lot and it's something we want to stop doing, we want to diminish that desire. We want to kind of make it ugly. We want to make it unattractive. We want to kind of make sure that we're not only are we thinking about the pleasure it's going to bring us, but we think about the pain it's going to bring us as well. So we want to really build up the pain so that desire diminishes. And then in terms of something you want to do more often, well, you want to build up the desire. This does come back to leverage. A different way of thinking about it is leverage. How do we build up more leverage and how do we reduce leverage for things we want to stop doing? So it's about looking at strong desire or weak desire. And then we move to behavior. And so behavior is really the observable behavior or the behavior that you're doing. That's when the quote unquote the bad habit is happening or the good habit is happening. And so we want to try to look at that behavior and how can we make it either easier or harder. So if it's something that you want to stop doing, make it harder. If you watch too much TV, if you procrastinate watching too much TV, when you're in a resourceful state, go to the TV, take the batteries out of the remote control and unplug the TV at the back. And so now it's harder to sit down and waste time in front of the TV. You sit down and you're like, it's not there. Now, if you procrastinate too much on your phone with games or YouTube, uninstall the apps. When you're in a resourceful state, uninstall the apps, because in that moment when you're experiencing a moment of weakness and you're like, I feel like playing a game, and you're like, hang on, it's uninstalled. There's an extra step now. There's a conscious step. You have to override it in order to go and do that old behavior. And that gives you an opportunity to short circuit that old recipe to do that behavior. So if it's a negative behavior, it's a dysfunctional behavior, it's an unwanted behavior or bad habit, make it really hard to do. If it's something you want to make easy, if it's something you want to do more often, then make it easy. For example, for me, for reading books, prior to probably 10 years ago, I'd never read any books. I didn't read any books really until after high school, and then probably a few through university that I was kind of forced to, but then none really until I got into personal growth in my early 30s. Over a decade of not really reading any books. And what I started to do, and what I still do to this day, is I set an easy behavior, and that is that I just need to read 1 page each day. Just 1 page. I think it's roughly about 3 pages, but 1 or 3 pages doesn't matter because I know I'm going to read more than that. But occasionally I'll only read 3 pages. Occasionally I'll only read 1. I mean, it's very rare that I ever read only 1, but then it's an easy behavior because I cannot justify to myself that I'm too busy to read. I always think about how can I just do the bare minimum? How do I just get incremental growth in areas of my life? There's times when I'm too busy to exercise for an hour, so I go and exercise for at least 10 minutes. You want to make it easy. It's like, how can you exercise for 5 minutes? How can you drink 1 cup of water? How can you read for one page? Make the behaviors that you want to do more often easy. Coming back, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. And then finally, we go into that last part of the loop, which is reward. And it is once you've done the behavior, you get a reward. You get an emotional reward. There's this emotional fulfillment or satisfaction that we get from having almost pretty much completed the loop. That's why we do things. That is the ultimate reason why we do everything. It's to feel something. If you want to get a car, it's to feel something. You want to buy a house, it's to feel something. If you want to have a successful business, it's to feel something. If you want abundance in your bank account, it's to feel something. If you want a relationship, it's to feel something. Every single thing that we ever do in life is ultimately for a feeling. And so this is just that final reward. And so if it is a negative behavior or a bad habit, we want to reduce the reward. We don't want to give ourselves satisfaction for it. We want to kind of beat ourselves up a little bit. Now, there's a threshold there when you kind of beat yourself up. You want to stir up the pain and experience a bit of regret and experience a bit of guilt. They can be motivated emotions, but you don't want to get caught up in them. So it's like salt. Use a little bit of salt in your cooking. If you use too much, you've ruined the cooking. You've ruined the recipe. So just use a little bit of guilt, a little bit of being pissed off with yourself, a little bit of angry at yourself, and that way you're not giving yourself that reward. Now, if it's something that you want to build a good habit towards, then you want to amplify the reward. Even if you've just done one small thing. I just read 1 page, yippee. Like some people diminish that reward. And I go, yeah, awesome. I just read 1 page. You know what? I haven't read 1 page for the last year. That's a huge achievement. So allow yourself to amplify that reward because you're going to give yourself these neurochemicals that are going to help you become more addicted to the positive behaviors rather than negative behaviors. As you'll see, we're all addicts. We're all addicted to something. It's just about whether you're addicted to things that are moving you forward or addicted to things that are moving you backwards or not moving you at all. Maybe you're addicted to things that just keep you in your status quo. So this is the habit science. This is how every regular, frequent behavior works. This is the psychology behind it. And so we can break it down and we can start to manipulate and change and modify and refine that entire habit loop so that we start to either do things more often or do things less often. So what you want to do, and this is just to break it down for you to see what you can do if you have a problem behavior versus how to replace, and you find a replacement behavior. So if it's a problem behavior, you want to hide the trigger, you want to make the desire really ugly, you want to make the behavior hard to do, and you want to make the reward a reduced feeling or even just more negative feeling, which is going to reduce the positive aspect of it. And then whatever the replacement behavior is, make it more visible, make it really attractive, make it very easy to do, and then amplify those feelings. Because the principle is this, that your results in life are determined by your habits. You look at people's health. It'll tell you what their daily habits are. They do not need to tell you what their daily habits are. You can see based on their health what's missing. You can see when people's money mindset or their money situation is not working for them. I can see what is missing from their daily habits. In terms of mindset, when their mindset's not great, I can see what's missing from their daily habits. And so it's our results we want in life. It's about locking down these daily incremental behaviors. And this is so important because you are the captain of your own ship. You are the most important client you could ever work with, because if your mindset's not right, it doesn't matter what skills you have, you're not going to get out there and help people. It's about working on yourself first. This applies to this course. It's about how do you develop a habit of continuing through this course. This is early on in the course. This is week 1 of a bigger course. It's like, how are you going to lock yourself down to ensuring that you're going to build the good habit of completing the course, because that is how you get the results. You don't get results just by enrolling. Enrollment is just potential power. The real power is in the action. It's in the putting it together. It's the resilience. It's the following the path. That's what gets the results, guys. That's what gets the results. I'm not going to sell you a dream. I'm not going to say all you need to do is enroll and it'll just magically happen, because it won't. It doesn't happen like that. You know, I want to fortify you. I want to get you prepared. I want to instill within you the inspiration, the grit, the determination that's required to get your dream life. You have to earn the right to have your dream life. And this is part of it. It's about developing those habits. And so think about where are you spending too much of your time that you shouldn't be? It's probably a bad habit. It's probably a distraction habit. It's probably something you're addicted to that is not working for you. It's not moving you forward. It's just keeping you stuck. It's maybe head in the sand, watching too much Netflix, watching too much YouTube, scroll hole on Facebook, Instagram, watching TikTok, you know, playing games. There's something you're doing that you're probably spending too much time doing. And then it's like, how do you develop a better habit? How do you get yourself moving? How do you make it more visible? How do you make it more attractive? How do you make it easy to do? How do you amplify the feelings? So in terms of this course, I would encourage you, get a pen and write down something that's visible. So again, the trigger, make it visible. Write down, have I done 10 minutes on the E-Hypno course today? Just write that out and put it somewhere that you sit often. Put it in front of the TV, put it at the bottom of the TV, put it on top of your laptop, put it next to your screen, put it somewhere. So that's that visible trigger. Oh, hang on, yep, I've got that visible trigger now. That attractiveness, how do you make the desire attractive? Well, how much do you want your dream life? How much do you want to get to the end of this and be one of the forefront leaders who is a part of the wave of opportunity that's coming and a part of that boom? Or are you going to regret it? Are you going to make excuses? It's like, make it super attractive. You get to be a leader. You get to be, you know, someone that creates this dream life. You get abundance. You get fulfillment. You get freedom. How much do you want it? And then make it easy to do. So just do 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. 10 minutes a day. That is better than doing 0 minutes. Now, if you can do half an hour, you can do half an hour, do an hour, but do 10 minutes, because once you do 10 minutes, there's a good chance you'll probably do half an hour. You might even do an hour. So make it easy to do. And then reward, amplify those feelings. Even if you make a mistake, you're going, awesome. You know what? I made a mistake, but you know what? I had to go. I'm so further ahead than the people that are still sitting on the couch, not even trying. So, you know, give yourself that significance. You need to become addicted to keep going. You need to become addicted to progress, because there are a lot of people that are addicted to fear. They're addicted to uncertainty. They're addicted to their comfort zone. And what do we know about the comfort zone? It's the death zone. It's where our dreams, ambitions, and our goals go to die. So just know that we are all addicts. And I want to really sort of reframe that term of being an addict, because that's a label that society uses, and I'm an addict. We're all addicts, really. I mean, at a neurochemical level, we are all addicted to the neurochemistry cocktail that goes on in our brains that keeps us addicted to the behaviors that we can continue to do. Like, I am addicted to personal growth. I'm addicted to drinking green tea. I'm addicted to drinking water. I'm addicted to hanging out with my wife and daughter. And, you know, I'm addicted to personal growth. I'm addicted to a lot of things. And I'm happy with that. But I understand I'm addicted to it. And I want to be. I choose to be. So you get to choose your addictions rather than your addictions choosing you. And this is part of what goes on here, is that we have adrenaline. There are these neurotransmitters, these neurochemicals that are created that we have adrenaline. Now, adrenaline is fight or flight. If you are experiencing anxiety, or a client experiencing anxiety, depression, PTSD, all those sorts of things, what's happening is they are frequently producing adrenaline in their body. And so they enter fight or flight, fight or flight, fight or flight. That triggers the nervous system. That means that they're continually fight or flight, not in that parasympathetic nervous system of just rejuvenation and relaxation and repair. And that is why when people are depressed, they're experiencing PTSD, they're anxious, they are more likely to get sick. And they end up passing away earlier, because they're not allowing their body to repair and heal and rejuvenate. And so not only is it important from an emotional perspective, but it's important from a physiological perspective in terms of a lifespan perspective for us and for our clients to really resolve anxiety, PTSD, depression as quickly as we can so they can get a full life. Now, there's times when adrenaline is going to work. Like if you get pissed off, angry, adrenaline comes through. And so that can motivate you in certain areas. But we don't want to be triggered into adrenaline too often. But then we have norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is a neurochemical that allows us to focus. And when we get into flow and we start focusing, norepinephrine is one of the neurotransmitters. And we're addicted to that. Like I'm addicted to being in flow. I'm addicted to doing deep work. Then we have dopamine. Dopamine is that pleasure. When we feel pleasurable about something, we got dopamine. And so that's pleasure. And then we have serotonin. Serotonin is like well-being. It's like happiness. Dopamine is kind of like that spike of pleasure, whereas serotonin is kind of more just well-being, happiness, joy, not so much of a spike kind of excitement. But just understand that these are the four basic neurochemicals that are produced through the behaviors. And so we are addicted to these things. These are the chemicals that we are addicted to. Now, yes, people are still also addicted to things like smoking and alcohol and Netflix and social media. And these are sort of external things that we're addicted to. But the reason why they're addicted to those external things is because of the chemical cocktail that's caused in people's brains. So the principles are that we are addicted to the neurochemical cocktail created by our behaviors, which reinforces our desire to do those same behaviors. Now, the ultimate point where our client will transition from letting go of a problem, of a bad habit, will be when they learn to cope without that old behavior. Now, I've seen it so many times. Having trained 9,000 people, I've worked with probably over 1,000 or so clients. And what I've seen to be true is that the real transformation comes when people realize they no longer need that old thing. I know for myself, when I stopped smoking, I stopped drinking, I chose to realize that I didn't need that thing ever again. Nothing could ever happen in my life that would make me go back to smoking or drinking. I've done it before. Now, I know how to smoke. I know how to drink. I can easily take them back up. I mean, it's easy to do. You go to the bottle shop, grab a bottle of alcohol, pour it into a glass. Don't even need to pour it in a glass, really. You can just neck it. That's how you get drunk. That's how you drink. How do you smoke? Well, you just get a cigarette, put it into your hand, light it up, suck on it, blow it out. That's how you smoke. I can do them. There's nothing to say that I can't do them. I can do them, but I choose not to, which is completely different. Some people say, but I can't. I can't have that donut. No, you don't understand. I'm on a diet. Well, what studies have shown that that's actually an ineffective belief system. I can't. I can't is kind of suggesting they're deleting the fact that there is something that's stopping them. They're not recognizing their own power. I say, I can eat a donut, but I choose not to. I can smoke, but I choose not to. I can drink alcohol, but I choose not to. And so it's my choice. I'm completely in control of my choice. And it's a power that I have. It's not like it has some power over me. Now, some other approaches like once an addict, always an addict. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Once a drug taker, always a drug taker. And I don't believe in that. I believe that is a dysfunctional way of thinking, because that's saying that you are now defined by that old behavior. That's not true, because at some point you were not that behavior either. And your clients weren't that behavior. So I don't think people need to go, that thing that's my weakness. I can't have it. I used to be addicted to alcohol, and now if I have one, that means it's open to the floodgates. No, it's not that at all. It is that if you believe it is. But I believe that alcohol doesn't have any power over me. I can tell you, I used to drink almost every night. But it has no power over me anymore, because I have power over it. And it's about learning to cope without that old behavior. And I've seen people who really do embrace it, that understand, I don't need that thing ever again. Life can be deeply fulfilling without alcohol. It can be deeply fulfilling without biting nails. It can be deeply fulfilling without watching social media. It can be deeply fulfilling without Netflix. It can be deeply fulfilling without anything, really, if you choose for it to be. Coming back to, you get to choose the meaning, being at cause. It's about the client needs to really recognize that they're not losing something here. They're getting something. And again, studies have shown this to use Alcoholics Anonymous. what they found was most people, Alcoholics Anonymous would work for a number of reasons. One is that you get connection. Two, they get significance because they get a badge that says how long they've been sober for. And so they're getting connection, they're getting significance, they're getting certainty because they get a meeting to turn up to each day, or sorry, not each day, each week. There's variety because there's new people and how many days do they last and who's fallen off the wagon and who's starting again. And so there's variety there as well. There's significance, there's connection. So those human emotions, those needs, those emotional needs are being met. They're being met through something different other than alcohol now. But what they've also found is that when those people took on, and from what I understand, I haven't been at AA before, but according to the studies is what they say is that often people find God. And they look to the power of God and they're like, well, you know what? I've got rid of alcohol, but I've got God in my life now. And they find religion. And they say, you know, God will guide me. God will look after me. God will help me through these tough times. And it's that belief that there's something else that they can rely on now that is not the alcohol that keeps them true to their outcome. Now, what the studies have shown is that it's not actually about God. It's not about the religion. That's just the content. That's just the detail of it. The high level principle is this one, which is you just need to learn to cope without that old behavior. You find a replacement behavior. You find something that you can rely on that's not that old thing. And so this is so important to sit down with your client at the right time. And again, you know, this is just another tool, another concept to talk about with your client, if it's appropriate, about educating them around habit science, educating them to understand why they keep doing that old behavior, and kind of link it back to the emotional needs, because that's going to help us map back, okay, this is why you keep doing that old behavior. It's meeting your needs at this level, this level, this level, and this level. And so let's find a replacement behavior that's going to meet those needs at a similar or higher level. So I hope this is making sense to you so far. So click below and let me know what is the most valuable part of the lesson that you've heard so far. So just leave a comment and I'll see you on the next lesson.